Who's got something good going on in their life? We need to spice up our lives. What do you got, James?
My nephew is coming to visit me from Ireland Thursday to Monday. We're as close as brothers, and we're going to have a lot of time. Got a lot of good stuff lined up, and a total from 4 days.
He's cutting in and out on where I'm at.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not hearing you, James. Sounds like you've got a relative coming in from Ireland for a few days that you're real excited to spend some time together. So that is awesome. Anybody else want to share something? Nothing like spending some family time together. Well, my win was, we had a great turnout for our Roe v. Holmes meeting down in Providence. Some great networking, some good fun afterwards, and really excited to kind of move forward here second half of the year. And we're ready for these changes, and let's tackle them. Let's get after. Hopefully, nobody on this call is nervous about August 17th. You should be prepared. You should be ready. You should be. I think not just ready. I think excited to take market share from those that aren't professional. You guys are putting in a lot of time to just every day sharpen the saw, and these are the agents that are going to take the market share. I'm excited to see it happen. So go ahead, Keely.
Oh, well, I will say something, but that was by accident. I had a client that I was nurturing, and he initially started looking for his parents who live in New Jersey, and I showed up a bunch of pretty large homes, and then they decided, you know what, we're going to wait another couple of years to buy up here. So I said, okay. So I said, no worries. Put them on nurture, whatever. The son reached out to me last week. He's like, hey, Keely, you know what? My wife and I, we want to keep looking in like West Hartford, South Windsor area. And yeah, we're looking at, between 750 and $1 million homes. And then we want to sell our home. Can you do that for us? So I was like, absolutely. So we have one under contract in West Hartford. And then as soon as they move into that house, I'm going to, on the sell side for their house in South Windsor.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love nothing like getting the twofer. The only thing better than the twofer is the threefer. I don't wish people to get divorced, but you can sometimes get 3 deals out of those. So the only benefit when it comes to the real estate world is a threefer and a divorce. We'll celebrate quietly internally as agents. Who else got something? Anybody else got something? I got a little something on the docket here that we can get into if nobody else has got a win. Frankie.
Yeah, I got it. When I missed the last 2 real calls, I was driving during the calls, so I couldn't really be on them. But Friday, I had a lead no-show on me. I was around 5 o'clock Friday afternoon, Friday evening. And then I decided, since I was in town, to stop at my sister's house. I stopped over there, and they decided that they were waiting to talk to me about it, but they want to sell their house and buy a new house. So I'm like, well, fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm just your guy, and I directed them to the guy I use. And my sister's got some credit hangups, but going to Semper yesterday with their programs, I think it'll be more geared for my brother-in-law. He'll be able to use them, so I'm going to talk to him again tomorrow and get them going with Semper now after yesterday's meeting. So that kind of worked out for me. If that's a win, I feel it's a win. I feel like I'm killing it. So right on.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm getting a twofer, and then right, kind of like what we talked about yesterday. We don't have to know all the programs. You need a guy that knows all the programs, you know?
Right.
And I think that the couple of points of contact that we now have at Semper, these are veteran loan officers, you know, doing hundreds of deals, that they know all of their products. They know them inside and out. They've been at Semper for a long time. Just get the clients over there and see what they say, you know?
Yeah, too, with my brother and sister-in-law, or my sister and my brother-in-law, their thing was they were going to use my sister's credit and her stuff to get the first-time home buyer over again and start over from scratch. But I mean, if Semper has a program where my brother-in-law, because he's got the better credit, you know, can do a program with, you know, so I'm sending him over to Mr. Fogg tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I feel it's a win
That's
already.
it. Get them there and see what they can do. Let them be the magicians to put the right
Right on.
product together. So, anybody else? All right. Well, let's we're going to do a little martial arts today. Martial arts. My nephew is really getting into the martial arts. I think he's coming up and going for his black belt. There's all these different little belts, but it's pretty interesting to watch him. He's what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, he's one of these kids that's just bouncing off the walls anytime you see him. He cannot sit still. But you put him in martial arts with an instructor, and everything is precise, and it's just you obey the master and you follow the routine. It's just amazing to see the control that he can have over his body. And it, you know, as I was kind of reading this, I was thinking of, you know, the martial arts and how we can use it to kind of train ourselves, and also just kind of understand maybe where in the journey you are when you compare it to kind of how some of these martial arts look at things. So there's a martial art called Shu Ha Ri. Anybody into the martial arts that understands this one? Shu Ha Ri. But just a quick show of hands. Does anybody have any sort of a belt in a martial arts on the call? Jeff and Linda. All right. Which one, Jeff or Linda?
It's Linda. I have a black belt in Kung Fu.
Of course you do. That's awesome. That's awesome. Amber, 3 of the kiddos, Margaretta, Lauren. Cool. So here's how Shu Ha Ri works. They break their journey of mastery into 3 stages. So, and it's just the name of the martial art. So the first stage, the Shu, is to obey. That's what Shu means. And, you know, you're just learning to operate according to the established rules. That's phase 1 in Shu Ha Ri. Hey, let the master do his thing. You start to obey. You listen. You learn. You know, very similar to, you know, what you're going through when you're starting your real estate career, right? You don't really know any better. Just trying to follow the rules, stay in compliance, make sure you don't end up in real estate jail. The Ha is to break. This is their second stage of their journey. And here is where you start to challenge / adapt the rules. And where you start to see some innovation in this martial art form. So in real estate, maybe that's, you know, you start to get comfortable. You know, I kind of feel like this is maybe after deal 6, somewhere between 6 and 12 for a lot of agents. Okay, let me try this. You know, now I kind of know how to write the offers. Let me get a little bit more creative with writing the offer. Let me get a little bit more innovative with my marketing. And then the Ri is to transcend. This is their third stage. And this is where you're just creating new rules and conventions, where you're innovating and maybe setting a new standard for the marketplace. You know, I think some of our agents have done some pretty cool stuff over the years when it comes to marketing, and maybe we're first in the area to do something. I think definitely as a brokerage, we've done a few things. You know, I can remember when we first started using TCs in our market, nobody wanted to work with us. You know, I don't want to work with a transaction coordinator. I want to work directly with the agent. You know, and so when you start to hit this transcend level where you're starting to do things that aren't conventional, you're going to get pushback. when you started, when we first started using escalation clauses, we're getting some pushback, so just looking at, what stage when you're comparing to the martial art, I thought was pretty neat. And knowing that this is how the journey is going to most likely play out for you in real estate. As you start to put deals together, at first you're just trying to just obey, then you're starting to, mix and match a little bit, and then hopefully you're coming up with some new stuff. You're writing an offer with a unique clause that you've never seen before, right? But for your client, it works on this deal. Any thoughts on this? Anybody think of anything that, they did that was unconventional, especially if it was in the real estate space where you started to get pushed back and now it's commonplace, or now you're seeing other agents do it? I thought it was a good topic because, when we're talking about that August 17th deadline, yesterday we had a lot of conversation around what do we think is going to happen? I think it's going to happen this way. Ray from Semper has his thoughts on what's going to happen with the negotiations and how these comps are going to get paid. So, but none of us really know, and I think it's up to us to write the script and how you want to run your business and how you're going to negotiate with your clients and how you want to get paid, right? Because there's going to be a bunch of different ways to do it. So just being flexible and not being steadfast and being adaptable that, hey, this is the way we think it's going to play out. This is the forms that we're starting with, right? But things are going to change for sure. It's going to be an interesting year in real estate. So with that, we're kind of halfway. Why don't we just open it up? Who has got something weird or funky going on in a deal that they learned from or that the group can learn from? Go ahead, Gilly.
So I wanted just to kind of warn everyone that there's like these land scams going on. So these people, I have a deal, a seller that I was working with in East Granby, Connecticut. So it was 7.75 acres. Anyway, this, I guess, from Anna from Chris Law and I chatted, and there's a scam going on with people confiscating someone's identity and then going through with the deal, and the buyer is losing tons of money if it gets to the closing table. Luckily, we caught it. Something, my intuition was telling me something was off, because this gentleman told me initially that I spoke with him. It came in through a Zillow lead, spoke with him. Everything seemed to be on the up and up. He said, I'd like to close quickly. And then this is the horrible part. He ended up stating that his daughter had acid thrown on her face and he needed the money ASAP. So, as a mom, that pulled every heartstring I had. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I called all these builders. I'm contacting everyone to try to get this sold for him. So then the neighbor reached out to me behind him, and she wanted to buy the property. She's like, listen, I only have 60 cash. I don't want to insult him, but that's all I have. So I went back to him, said, hey, listen, 60,000. The neighbor, she doesn't want anybody building behind her. All right, let's do the deal. Okay, that's fine. I need the money. I'm like, okay. So she ends up signing everything. So he called me yesterday. I'm down at the Semper meeting. He's calling me from a different number, texting me from a different number. He doesn't sign the, he wanted to lower the price. It went from 300, 280, 240. I'm like, and then finally I said, you never signed the paperwork to reduce the list price. And that was like for a week. Lo and behold, he's a scam artist, and I asked him, show me your license, please. Something felt off. So he sure as hell sent me his license. I'm like, okay. So Anna told me what they do is she just had one from South Africa, a scammer from South Africa They even go to the extremes to get the passport. They go to the U.S. consulate. They get things notarized, and they're able to do all this stuff. And it's very hard to figure out until they start doing something shady, like switching numbers all the time and whatnot. So just be aware. That's all.
Right. And so, Keely, I believe in these situations, I think the Realtor Association of Pioneer Valley might have sent something out recently on this. I think in these situations, it isn't like he has the forged documents to make it look like whatever's in public record. You know, if John Smith is the owner in public record, he's got the documents to show that he's John Smith. He'll provide a license showing that he's John Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just be aware. That's all. And honest to goodness, everything matched. Like he lived in Florida. I looked public records. Okay. Yep. Lives in Florida. And then I looked up Fast People Search, and it was bizarre. It had the Florida address, and then it had Honolulu, Hawaii address. I'm like, what the hell? And so, you know, a lot of things just didn't jive. So just be aware that that's going on, I guess.
Anybody want to add to this? Have they seen a land scam? Have they been part of a land scam? Okay. Great share, Keely. Wendy, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I don't know if anyone else has this. I do have a friend in Fort Lauderdale, and she actually had the same named guy texting her. So what I get is like a direct Zillow contact, or they go through the Zillow Premier app or whatever it is that I get these people. They text me or call, but usually it's a text, and then they say, go to your WhatsApp and I'll message you there. So I know the whole deal. It's just a bunch of circles. It's nothing. They say that they either want to buy a house themselves, or they have their boss that wants to buy a house. They want to retire. It's usually in the millions. You know, it's I've gone to the point where I was doing my job and educating on schools and the communities and, you know, all the areas and things like that. And just to get to the point where the guy at one time was telling me personal things, that he had been divorced, and he's sending me a picture of a picture on his wall that he got through his divorce, and he's sending me a picture of his breakfast. I'm like, I don't even know what all this is, or why they would go to this extent to text with me. And I just was like, okay, you know, I cut it. I blocked him. I was at a friend's house one night. We were talking, and I was telling her about all these, you know, fake leads that I'm getting from Zillow. And this has been going on for a while. And she goes, oh, me too. And then we compared notes, the same guy. So she started WhatsApping him. And then I don't know how it got into Bitcoin. Her friend, an investor, was there, and he knows all about it. So we started throwing words at him. Anyway, it was just ridiculous. But anytime I get a Zillow, and it actually happened to me yesterday, they text me and say, oh, I found your information on the website. I need someone to help me with a house. Do you WhatsApp? And now I just say, no, I don't use WhatsApp. I'm sorry. I said, can I call you? Or I'll call right away, because my first instinct is to call somebody. I need to talk to you first, because I'm never going to sell a house through a text. And they never answer. It's just really strange. And I get them a lot. I
think one of the other things that's going to be nice about this new buyer rep right off the bat is it's going to force us to just do meetings, right? You're going to have to do a Google Meet. You're going to have to meet in person. You're going to get these buyer reps signed. You know, and I think, you know, kind of a lesson learned here is I don't think these guys will talk to you on the phone, and they're definitely not going to do a Google Meet, right? So I think we've got to
call first. Yeah.
Closer, the quicker that we can get to doing it in person, or at least a Google Meet, I think the better off we are when it comes to this stuff and scammers. I will say, while we're on the topic of scams, there is a rental one as well. That I don't know. Has anybody been involved in one of the rental ones? I think somehow, KB, you want to just talk through how it went down?
Well, this was actually, I was a consumer, and this was years ago when I lived in Florida, and I wasn't even a realtor at this point, so I didn't really even know what to look for. And I had found a rental property in Palm Beach that that I was shocked when I saw it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like not a whole lot of money to rent that house. Let's go take a look at it. So we contacted the person. They told us that they were out of the country, that the house was vacant, and we could go just check it out, see if we liked it. We went to the house, we walked around. I texted with them while we were at the house. They told me there was a key under the back mat and we could go inside. So I felt weird doing that. So I was like, no, we'll just wait until, we can actually meet with you. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to send you the paperwork. You can sign it, but I just need a deposit. And I was like, well, that's very strange, right? So I don't know how many people actually send these deposits over. Come to find out, I wound up Googling the address and seeing it was actually a house that was listed for sale. And I called the agent and they're like, no, this is a scam. So Lori just put in there, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's just the truth. So
Yeah, so that's the gist of how those rental ones work, is they get you to just they have a ridiculously low price and they try and get the consumer to send the deposit in ahead to secure the property. Anybody else have an experience with a rental? Lauren, if your hand went up, I don't know if it was different or
No, I remember, I believe it was somebody at our brokerage. They were either at an inspection or final walkthrough on a property they were closing at, and somebody who had fallen for one of those online Craigslist rentals pulled up in a moving truck and it turned into like a whole thing. This was like a couple
that
years ago.
that person had sent in the deposit and thought they were moving in that
Yeah,
day.
they got the address. They told them that the keys were going to be there. And our clients were there. Like I said, I can't remember doing inspections or a final walkthrough. And so, like, the cops came and we had to
Yeah.
do everything.
And while we're on the scamming topic, I will never ask you guys to buy me a gift card, because that usually happens twice a year. You're going to get a text or an email or something from me asking if you guys can buy me a gift card, or you can stop at the store and get me a gift card, or I don't know how they do it, but I'm not going to ask you guys.
I get
for
an
any gift
email
cards.
every day from you asking me for my cell phone number. I'm like, bro, you know my cell phone number. Like, stop asking me.
Yeah. Any other scams while we're on this topic that people have come across in real estate, Margareta?
Yes, good morning. I guess, just hit me. Anybody who's like on Facebook, sometimes you get hit like, let's switch over to WhatsApp or something. WhatsApp is a free app, obviously, for international. You can call as long as you have Wi-Fi. So I think pretty much anything with WhatsApp, be very cautious, because that just, smells bad. I guess it just hit me.
Yeah, Lori had put the same thing in the chat. WhatsApp equals red flag. James.
Yeah. For anyone who might have to have or who might have a Zillow rental manager account, I've had one for quite a few years and rented hundreds of properties through it. And just in the last 4 weeks, I put on 2 new listings, 2 rental listings, and something weird started to happen where I started to get authentication texts, supposedly from Zillow, asking me for a second cell number to authenticate the listing, and that they couldn't verify the address and so on, even though I had rented that property previously on the same site. And anyway, through a lot of contact with Zillow, by the way, are pretty awful to try to get a hold of for customer support and things like that. But I eventually did, through the help of another local friend of mine, identify pretty quickly that it was a scam that was going on and that my account somehow had been compromised. So I'm working through that to get things back on track. But it's pretty scary when it happens, and it's coming at you from a lot of angles. So if something doesn't look right and doesn't come to you through, when an inquiry comes to me through that rental manager account, it's all with the proper Zillow screenings. Apparently they can even steal those and intercept them and everything. So not to scare people too much, but another point of vigilance for everybody.
Yep. Great share. I will say one of the things that I've found to be extremely helpful, I don't think it's super expensive. My guess is it's like $10 a month is I use 1Password. So all of my passwords are, pretty sophisticated because it just generates it for me. It's basically anytime I go to log in, either on my phone or on my computer, the 1Password app kind of knows it's a login page, and I'll log into my 1Password and it'll put the password in there. If I'm creating a new account, it'll generate some 16 24 digit very complicated password. I felt pretty good about it. I've been using it for a couple of years now. You can do a family account, and so multiple family members can use it. So anybody else want to share what they're doing? To anybody using anything else that they like when it comes to like the passwords and the logins and stuff like that? Okay. We've got a couple of minutes left. Somebody have one more topic to sneak in? Go ahead, Sue.
I had a lot of pushback on signing the agent exclusive agent.
Buyer.
Yeah,
Yep.
buyer. And they're like, no. And I would say, well, we'll do it just for this one property. And they're like, no. So I don't, I'm like, okay, is this person really into wanting to buy something? So I've explained what has happened in the past with, um, and they're just like, nope. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And then they walk away and they don't want to see, they're not going to see the property, and we're there.
Yeah, I mean, here's the
What
reality.
about making it really short? Like, just say, look, will you work with me for a week and feel it out just so that you can get it signed and then prove your value? And then, after the week's over, say, hey, look, would you mind, are you open to extending it? Have you been happy with my service? Just so you can get some kind of in front of them. You know what I'm saying?
I've done that, and most people are open to that, but this one person was like, nope. And she just didn't want to sign it. So I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but starting August
Sue,
17th.
I think
Even for one
there's
property, like for the day, I've done it for 24 hours just to show them the property. Because what if they do like it,
Yeah, well, that's what I did. I said it's for this one property. After that,
Right.
you're not bound to me at all,
Yeah.
just for this one property. And she refused.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like three scenarios. One is you got a person that's not really serious.
Yep.
Right. Second scenario is we haven't done a good job of explaining kind of where the industry is going and these changes. And the third is they don't see the value. Right.
Okay.
And so not really much you can do to show value on that first property. Right. It's just kind of, hey, it's got to be an education piece. Hey, this is, and they're going to start to get it from other people. So it's going to be much easier after August 17th for sure.
Okay. Yep.
Right now, if you can't get in front of somebody, kind of explain that things have changed, maybe you could text them an article, that's kind of out there from a third party resource showing that, hey, this is how things are changing. This is becoming,
I was in front of her, and we were at the property. That's the.
Oh, and she wouldn't sign it at the property.
Correct.
Okay.
Even for just that day,
Right. Was this Connecticut?
No, Massachusetts.
Okay. So, I mean, in theory, right now, you don't have to do that, right? You do have to get the agency disclosure signed, right? Which just is not a contract. They are not bound to work with you. And if they won't sign that, I believe we've still got the box on the agency disclosure that says the consumer wouldn't sign.
Yep.
Right. So in that case, you could have still shown that property.
Okay.
Right.
Until
the 17th, we don't have a problem.
Okay. And then the other thing I got a pushback with is the administration fee. They didn't want to pay that. And she goes, well, I can use another realtor that doesn't charge.
Yep. And they absolutely can do that. Right. And so this
Yep.
is not, this is just, you got to show your value. We provide a ton of administrative services here, providing our agents with dot loop accounts and transaction coordinators. And, we have some admin fees. You're going to get great service. You're never going to be out of communication. That's just how we do it here. Instead of putting that fee on our agents, we're putting it on the consumer, and I think they get a darn good experience here at Roby. So.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. All right, guys, we're a little bit over. Great topics today. You just never know what's going to come up, and today became a scam day. A lot of scammers out there. It just seems like every day, new technology, new way to scan. So, or scam. So, be wary out there for sure. I'm sure there's others. Tomorrow they're going to think of a new one. AI is going to start to pop into this stuff. They're going to be, replicating people's voices and accounts, and it's going to get worse. So we really do have to be on high alert when it comes to this stuff. So appreciate you guys, and we will see you all again tomorrow morning. All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.